Whoa, you're here already. Good to see you. Scaling major and minor triads, my most favorite technique ever. You might wonder, well, Frank, what exactly is that? Well, I will explain what it is and how you can do it as well in the video in a second here. And before I do this, let me tell you that this will lead to results that are very emotional, things like the Disney style almost, I would say, or animation in general. And if you're interested in getting access to those structures and to this style of writing, then this video is exactly for you. Have fun. The idea is that we start with numbers and we just scale those numbers up via a factor. And in this case, it's a factor times 2. So as you can tell, this is a major triad, right? So you start from any note, and then from that note, you go up by 4. And then from that note that you reach here, then you go up the exact half steps from your second number. So this 4 plus 3 creates 3 notes in the end. And that is your starting note that you can pick freely. Then it goes up by 4. From there, it goes up by 3. Now, if we scaled this thing, then obviously, if we scaled the number 4 times 2, this equals 8. 3 times 2 equals 6. And this is true in all of those bars. But still, there's a difference. There's a slight variation in all of these bars here. And that is the common note that we hold over. And all of those 3 options lead to different notes, to different pitches. But all of those vertical structures have a very similar emotion to them. The common note, obviously, right here is the note C. Then right here, it's the middle note. The common note is the E. And then up here, the common note between those 2 structures is the G. So how did we get to those pitches, to those actual notes? If we held this lowest note here, then instead of going up by 4, now we go up 8. That is the distance from C up to A flat. This is 8 half steps. From there, now we go up by 6. That is from A flat to the D. This is how we get to these structures here. Now, if we wanted to have the middle note as our common note, then let's write this out first. And from here, we know we have to get to an 8 plus 6. So we simply go down from the E, 8 half steps, so that we find our lowest note. And from here we go up 6 steps, so that we get to our next higher note. And the same thing can be done right here. Since now we are holding the top guy over into the next structure, now we simply want to go down all the time. And don't forget that we always read these things from bottom to top, which means if you started on the top note, you want to read this formula in reverse. That means from this G right here, the first thing that we want to do is in reverse, we want to go down by 6. That is from G to D flat. And from the D flat, we want to go down by 8 half steps. This brings us to the F right here. Probably you could not even tell the difference, like what was the common note, since those things, they are all really pointing into the same direction. Intervals have a nature, and you can't trick this nature. If it was a dominant interval, no matter what notes you play, it remains a dominant interval. The funny part, and now I want to actually get to these numbers right here. Why is this beneficial? The nature of this structure right here is actually quite interesting because it wants to resolve. It's not stable. And it actually wants to come back to its original starting point, which is the C major triad. And you see that we always create leading tones. So this A flat actually wants to move down to the G. This D note wants to move up to the E. So now we have transitioned from a C major in close harmony to a C major in open harmony. The same thing is true right here. This A flat right now, this wants to move down to the G. This B flat wants to move up to the C. So again, this brings us to a position change of the C major triad. Guess what happens right here? Spoiler, the same thing. So this D flat in the middle here wants to go down to the C. This F wants to go down to the E. And then again, we are in a different position. So you might wonder, like, how does this sound in the application? I can show you right away. So this thing here, all of those blue structures, those are major triads. Close position, close position, close position, open position. Then the green structures, as you can tell from the numbers, those are our scaled structures. Here in close harmony, this guy is in open harmony. Okay. And then we have a little structure with a substitute tone in here. Substitute tones, they are really your wild card, which means I would start with a technique first, because that's the best way to start in an organized way. From there, if you don't like any sound, change those notes. Because why not? You don't have to become a slave to the technique. That's not the idea. Technique just helps you connect to the creative pool and become inspired and make adjustments as you go. So let me actually play you this quick example here that is just based on a C major triad. The biggest benefit for you as the composer or music creator is this technique, this particular technique here, allows you to compose with time. So you can stay on any of those structures as long as you want. You can bring in little artificial loops that sound interesting. Like here, it's really just pick your triad and then use those structures that come out of the process here. Those three structures, and you can interchange them, you can mix them. Of course, you can bring in additional position changes. And just out of the C major triad came 4 bars of music. Who would have thought that? Oh, this is really great. So before you ask, well, Frank, is this also possible with a minor triad? Yes, my friend, it is. And here we can actually go a bit quicker because it's still the exact same concept, the same technique. Let me actually play you this here real quick. And of course, we can go to position changes. All of these structures, you know them already. They are all reflections. Like on top, on the other page, this was an 8 plus 6. This was a 6 plus 10. This was a 10 plus 8. So nothing of that is new. It's just reflected. Welcome to major and minor triads. I wrote another little demonstration here. And this is not the only one. Don't worry. We will look into more developed pieces as well. This time, we look at even 5 bars. So we are getting more advanced with every page. Oh, this is great. Let's have a listen to this thing here. Sounds like you were Bach or something. Written and developed in 2.5 minutes. And why? Because this is 100% technique. Because it's just following one starting point, getting to these scale structures, and then just using a combination of the starting point and the scale structures. Now, just imagine what happened if you had a C minor, F major, maybe an A flat major involved, and all of those structures can be scaled, and all of them bring in their own respective scaled structures that want to create little loops. So now you have different tonal centers that you can organize and let them weave together. Try this at your own pace. Just try it. And I hope that you will be surprised. So I said we wanted to look at some more developed pieces. It almost puts you into the style of Disney, this very romantic type of writing. And this is really great because this is not easy to achieve with just the diatonic system. It's actually quite difficult. 36 seconds of music coming out of a D major triad. Well, I hope you enjoyed scaling of major and minor triads. I want to quickly mention that we have a free composer's toolkit that explains all of the scaling stuff in great detail, together with downloadable materials. It's all in the description below. So if you're interested, please check it out. That was Frank, and have a wonderful day. See you soon.